We actually have roughly $82 million worth of contracts right now. I grew up on government assistance. Now, that's a government contract. Take all the myth out of your head. I got mentees who have gotten contracts in a week. It is crazy because I never saw myself as an entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Kizzy Parks. I go by Kizzy Parks, and welcome to GovCon Winners. I'm so excited today. I have an amazing guest, and I know you all are going to be beyond inspired after hearing from him because Fox Wade was recently awarded a $30 million contract with, I believe, the state of Maryland. He was recently awarded a phenomenal award and accomplishment from the SBA, and he is the CEO of Black Fox. Plus, he's got all of these additional businesses. And so I'm so excited to have him here today, and I want to welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. Definitely a pleasure to talk about something that I have a passion for and to also be able to connect with people, trying to do the same, right? Because we all know that it's a cold world out here, right?
It's definitely a cold world. So please take us back. Take us back to life before getting all these contracts, before having set asides, and before being in this amazing world.
So me, I'm just a kid raised in Flint, Michigan at a very, very young age, left Flint at the age of 18. I joined the United States Army, and it wasn't because I was a patriot or somebody who was like, I wanted to be in the military. I just didn't have anywhere else to go, right? So didn't score too well for college, so I decided to join the military. Joined the United States Army, spent 14 years there to where I started off as a combat engineer in the special operations side, but did 4 total Iraq tours and 1 Afghanistan tour, and did a few other different tours in Southeast Asia. So got out in 2014, really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I had this family. So I worked for a few different government agencies. So I worked for the Georgia Department of Health for a short stint, and then I worked for the Federal Emergency Management Agency in Washington, D.C. for a year. And I kind of got into government contracting. I want to say it's been exposed to me my whole entire life, but I didn't realize that I was exposed to it. But I got into it because when I worked for FEMA, I had signed off on a government contract that was $2.3 million for a company in West Virginia to install smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors in low-income family housing. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Y'all paying me $85K a year. So I was a little bit confused. And then so I went to my manager and I said, how do we even know that they're actually doing what they said that they're doing? And she was like, well, we don't know. We got to, take their word off the reports that they submit. I was like, yeah, it's probably time me to do something different. And that's when I decided to go out on my own and form the entity Black Fox in 2018, and, been going since nonstop through the.
And that is tremendous because you left, in reality, it's a high paying job. Like the average income in the United States is around 50-something thousand a year. So in comparison, you left this nice job, you were contributing to a pension as a government employee, and you could have just continued on, had a pension from the military, pension from the government, and just had a nice life. But you gave it up for discomfort and to try something different because you saw, hey, here's this company making millions of dollars installing smoke detectors.
It is crazy because I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I remember somebody made a statement. It was like, hey man, you're such a great leader in the military. Have you ever thought about having your own business? I was like, listen, I would never have my own business. I would never be an entrepreneur. I will always have a 9 to 5. I'll always have an 8 to 4. That was my mentality. And, at the age of 34, 35, things just wasn't making sense to me because I started seeing, and I started studying wealthy people. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. They didn't become wealthy because they had an 9-to-5, or they wasn't wealthy because they were college graduates. They were wealthy because they started a business, a company, right? So when I came into it, I wanted to build something to where it was reputable out here, not just in the business world, but also in the communities as well. And that's when I started in the corner of my basement. And had all these sticky notes on the wall, and I had like a whole military plan of what my targets is going to be. But the crazy part about it, going back to being exposed to this industry my whole entire life, I grew up on government assistance. Now, that's a government contract. You see, I grew up government assistance, low income neighborhood. That's a government contract. The people who used to come pick our trash up, the garbage truck, that's a government contract. Walking by the people who, patching up the streets, government contract. Going to public school and eating school lunch, that's a government contract. Being in the military, we got weapons, we got uniforms. A private vendor, a private corporation supplied those different products to the military. So it's like and I think we're all exposed to it. We just don't know what it is.
Right. There's really no one roadmap. And it's definitely not something you hear about on career day when you're in school. We hardly hear about it. We may come across this Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Harris Corporation entity, perhaps, but it's still, that's just, a company with some name on the building. What was your first contract for?
My first contract was a subcontract for $30,000. And let me see, I had the company on paper March 12th, 2018, but I didn't do anything until 1 May. So I launched it on 1 May 2018. I had called somebody up. Now, I ain't had no money. I only had like probably $35 left on my thing. I ended up calling somebody and I said, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, I'm meeting up with some people in the city you should come to. And I'm like, I ain't got no money to get down there. But I remember FEMA had gave us a Metro card, but they kept putting money on the Metro card, right? I was like, you know what? Let me just take the train down there. So I took the train down there, walked a couple blocks, met over there. And then one of the guys that was there, he was like, what do you do? And I told him what I did. He said, you know what? Wow. He said, I just got this contract and I need somebody just like you, that can work on it. And he was very transparent with me too. He was like, I got it for $50K. But can you do it for 30? And I was like, hell yeah, you giving me an opportunity. I don't care what your profit margin is at this moment. You giving me an opportunity. I got $35. So got the subcontract going. I started working on it 45 days into the contract, but I would show up. I would literally go to customer site and you would swear that I worked down there with them, right? And then after about 45 days, they were like, you know what? We got some other stuff for you to do too. And so because the guy had the contract, they went through him again. Now I got a $60,000 contract. So I went from 30 to 60. Now I'm at 90K. Remember, I'm making 85K working at FEMA. So now I'm at 90K in a matter of 2 months. And then from there, I had a little bit more flexibility on my schedule. So I started going to networking events, talking to people. I became cool with a lot of people to the Chamber of Commerce, and maybe it's because of my personality. And then from there, end up meeting with another company. I'm still on the contract too. Contract at the MBA. I had got my MBA certification from my company, and they won the contract for $12 million, but it was a 10% status. So I within a span of 9 months, I was already at the $1.85 million.
Wow. And then if I understand correctly, during that time, which very quickly you surpassed your annual income in days, the only set aside I heard was you got one with the state of Georgia?
No, with the state of Maryland. So there was a company who had won a prime contract. Yeah, but 10% of that contract had to go to an MBE. So they just brought us on, and then we got that 10%. So the contract that they had was roughly around almost $12 million. So we ended up getting a contract for $1.2 million. We got that contract, which is great. Now I went from, and we're like in September of 2018 now. Now I went from $35 in my pocket to 30K to 90K. Now I'm at almost $1.5 million in contract value.
And what was the work for these contracts?
So the first 2 contracts was doing continuity of operations planning, right? That was my core background. I went to college for emergency and disaster management while I was in the military. So I ended up getting certified for free through the military, and that kind of carried over into the civilian world. The third contract was for systems administration. I have no IT background at all. So it's for systems administration on information technology systems, kind of doing the maintenance and development for Microsoft products.
Oh, wow. That's phenomenal. I mean, especially because some are in such a hurry or just so focused on getting set-asides that through your subcontracting, you're able to significantly grow and then springboard from there because you have your 8A now, I believe.
That's correct. I didn't start winning prime contracts until my third year. I subbed. And the reason why I subbed is because it was just a lot of things I didn't know, right? I'm glad I did because it's like going to college, right? I had to I'm making money and really good revenue coming in, but imagine that I'm a prime and I do something that I don't know, and next thing you know, I screw up that whole entire contract, and now I'm blacklisted or something like that because I wanted to grow so fast. So growing gradually, subcontracting for me, because I didn't have a mentor then. There was PTAC and all these other different things, but I didn't understand how they were trying to get me there, because a lot of people that I met at these different agencies, they never were entrepreneurs. It was kind of like a job.
That is so common. They are. It's their job, or they're in a position to help small business owners, but maybe they've never had a business, which I always found to be really intriguing because I used a lot of their services when I first started out, but it's a different game when you're in it, when you're going through those 3 years of learning as a subcontractor, as you're building your business. And so walk us through, what were some of those major learnings that really helped get you to where you have a $30 million contract as a prime? So I would love to hear more about those learnings.
So the largest things were, and it's focused around 4 different disciplines, right? Understanding banking discipline, understanding accounting discipline, understanding legal discipline, and understanding, just overall contract management. So one of the biggest things that happened to me was pricing. Learning how to price your contract and factoring in fringe benefits, overhead, G&A, and all that stuff. And sometimes you think that, okay, I'm just going to just come up with a price because I think that's what I can do it for. And you learn that you're leaving a lot of money out on the table. I know in my mentorship program, I always talk about what we're not going to do is that we're not going to give the government the cracking price, right? And so I remember there was one, I made a minimum amount of money off of it. I got the contract, got it, and I'm excited, but at the end of it all, I'm like, damn, I only really had like a 2% return. What did I miss? Oh, you forgot to add in what it's going to cost you, your company, to facilitate this, and how can you make a profit? The other biggest gap was factoring different stuff, right? So like factoring in insurance, healthcare. It's different from information technology, which is different from finance management. So you may have to have 3 different insurance policies for each of those contracts because of the scope of work, what's associated with, because this insurance is going to say, no, we don't cover healthcare, we cover IT. And then the biggest one is just making sure that you read your contracts. You read your contracts 5 times over, you highlight, and don't be afraid to make corrections and tell them like, hey, you forgot some stuff in this contract. And then it's for like really good, healthy business practices with your accounting and taxes, all of that.
Oh, that's really good advice, because I know those who are watching, they're already thinking like, okay, this is something that I definitely can do, but it also can seem scary to go from you're subbing, you're learning, you're growing, you're implementing these 4 principles, and then it's like, bam, now you have this blessing of this $30 million contract, because I know you do, one of your areas is staffing. So talk to us about that, because that's tremendous. That's what we all aspire to in many ways, whether it's staffing, it's construction, it's products, whatever it is that somebody's interested in selling. It's being able to prime and to have a high number contract, and it's multiple years, I believe. Is it 5 years, your recent win?
Yeah, this is 5 years. And we actually have roughly $82 million worth of contracts right now because we have we have a subcontract that we're 50% on. That was back in April. That was $27 million in the state of Michigan. So we're extremely heavy on state and local. Now, we're leveraging our different relationship to get to that $30 million level or $30 million prime contract. For me, I truly understand that delayed gratification is the true formula of success. What I mean by that is that when people start making money in their companies, the first thing they want to do is that they want to buy a house, they want to buy a car, they want to buy jewelry, they want to buy all this stuff, right? Maybe it's the insecurity thing inside of them, but I like to look at targets, right? Like the 5-year target. So as I started scaling and growing a company, I started hiring talent and people who are just smarter, more vibrant, understand different disciplines. But the key to it all is that I just understand emotional intelligence, and I always wanted to have a company to where people don't want to leave. So, bringing on the talent, empowering them, letting them make mistakes, and giving them the raise. And I always tell people in my company, especially my executive staff, I say, I work for y'all. Y'all don't work for me. I work for y'all. What do y'all need from me? Y'all need computers? What do y'all need? And they tell me what they need. I'm like, yeah, let me get it to you right away, right? Because my job is to make them better. So that's how we got there, right? Because responding to proposals, responding to opportunities, you definitely need a special operations team to get there. So building a really good cohesive team and being fair, don't be a dictator or tyrant in your own company, but understand our people are people and give them the dignity and respect they need. And people will go all out for you.
Yeah, they definitely will. And that's tremendous that you've had such a low turnover rate. And where have you found, especially your executives and these key people, how have you gone about locating, getting them part of the company, bought in to going, full force with this? Because I know you have I love that you dream really big, and I'm excited to talk about that. But where do you find all these people?
I have partnerships I call them partners. Everything's a partnership, right? So I have different partnerships with so many different organizations that are out there. Primarily, what I do, this is my secret weapon that I do on each call. Let's say we're going after something. I'm down in Houston, Texas right now, building our Houston, Texas office. Right? So let's say we're going after something major down here. And what I do is that I partner with the Department of Labor, whether it's with the state or whether it's with the city, right? Because people who actually go to the Department of Labor that require additions to go into a place for assistance. So we partner with local Department of Labors, the workforces exchange, whatever's local. We partner with higher military because 85% of my staff is military. We partner with a few different nonprofits because they vet these people before they get out there. I'm not a big fan of some of the open software teams that are out there because, we get a lot of people. We may put a few things on Indeed and people come in, but it's like they're not breathing, right? They're just hitting submit. But going through having these different partnerships allow for us to really talk with people. And I like to pick raw talent too. So like my CAO, I always call her my left-hand woman. She's taken over. She's taken over a lot of stuff in the company. She came in as an administrative assistant. And within 15 months, I was like, oh, we got to promote you because you're up too, but it wasn't disrespectful. It was like, well, I understand that we were doing it this way, but can I do it this way? I'm like, yeah, whatever it takes for us to get to the finish line, I'm not going to get in the way of that because you may see something totally different than what I see, but most we get to the end result, but having them buy into the mission, buy into the objectives of the organization, and putting them first. I put my people first. There'd be some days that a Friday meeting, we be sitting there, especially we do like an in-person meeting from time to time, which, we're in a virtual space for the most. I'm like, it's Friday, it's nice on the side. What's on the calendar? Nothing. You know what? Let's go do something different. And it's just, it's just treating people like you. That makes sense?
It does. And it definitely makes sense because it speaks volumes, because that's why you have a low turnover. It shows people that you care about them, that you value them. They're heard. When the suggestion was brought to you, you were open to it, opposed to some like, no, this is how we do it. It's my company, and it's great that you're like that because it's going to further allow you to just skyrocket by having those those values and having the actions behind it.
And understanding that everybody's just different. Everybody's different. Some people want a tangible reward. Other people want an intangible reward. Now I have in my other company, GovCon Blueprint, I have employees over there too. But I have one where she came in. She was a business support specialist because she handles all the automation, all the systems. Very intelligent. And then one day she was a young girl. I guess she found somebody she liked, and she was like, "Hey, can I be added to the website?" And I was like, "Cool." So sure, I'll give you a raise. You get the title. And when we have meetings, I'm quiet. I let her go. She handle all of it. And at the end of the meeting, because I don't talk at all for the most part, at the end of the meeting, they look at me and they say, "You got anything?" And I'm like, "No, y'all got it." And I'll say, "What do y'all need from me?" Right? "What do y'all need from me?" "Well, we need this subscription. We need this. We need that." And I'm like, "Cool, you got it. You got it. Whatever y'all want, you got it." Right? Because your employees are the bloodline of your company too.
They are. They sure are. And for them to have what they need to accomplish their work, their tasks, to accomplish the objectives, it's vital opposed to, "No, we don't need that software. You don't need a new office chair. No, you can't have a standing desk." It speaks volumes when you're like, "Yeah, of course, if that's what you need." Because at the end of the day, investing in these things are so key, because then you're minimizing turnover. Now you're not spending thousands of dollars to try and find new people or replace somebody because you don't want to spend money on an office chair. I would love to know, for the new person out there, the person who's like, "Look, I got my UEI, I got this thing called a cage code." What are the 3 things that you would suggest that they do?
The first thing is understand, what is your niche? Right? What is your niche? What is that one thing that you can do that can just help you get started? I talk to people all the time, and they'll say, like, "I do hair, I cut grass, I paint houses." I'm like, "Okay, that's great. You are a Swiss Army knife. Kudos to you. But you're the one who's doing it all. How can you start with something, that power of one, that can get you going and get you started?" I said, you gotta learn how to plant yourself first, and then grow out of the good soil. And then you can start branching off as you mature throughout the years. That's number one, understanding your niche. Number 2, take all the myths out of your head and understand that it doesn't take a while to win a government contract. You just got to have the right guidance, the right mentorship, and understand what targets that you want to go after. I hear people say this all the time: "It takes time." I'm like, I got mentees who have gotten contracts in a week. Now, were they federal? No, these are local and state. But I did have one person within a month when their first and only federal government contract, with no experience, like zero experience. Matter of fact, she's working on it right now. That's number 2 right there. And then the third thing is that just keep going. Keep grinding, keep going after opportunities. Don't go after everything, but find some things that are similar in scope, and then focus on those. Because that way, when you do submit and you don't win, you get feedback, right, from that procurement officer, contract officer, letting you know what you did wrong. You fix and tweak, and then you go after the same opportunity until you get that award. And understand, what is your price point? What is it going to cost you to do the work, and how much profit are you going to make?
I love that. That is excellent advice. And I can't thank you enough for being here, dedicating your time, especially as you're growing your new office, you're executing all these amazing contracts. How can people reach out to you? What's the best way to connect with you?
You can find me on Instagram at Fox_Wade. You can go to win.govconblueprint.com. You can go to www.blackfoxgroup.com. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on a whole different platforms that are out there. Right? I do share a lot of information about government contracting. One unique thing about me is that I have no idea what other people are saying. I have social media is like, I have somebody who runs my social media, and I have no idea. Everything that I pitch and put on social media is all from my own experience. I have no idea what goes on out there, because I'm so busy, and I'm like, okay, let me drop this. I'm person like, you got to shoot this video. And often when we do cut content, it literally is like, there's no written, like, okay, we're going to talk about this. I'm like, cool. All right. I can talk about this. Let's go. And I'll do it for like 2 minutes or 1 minute video, whatever. And I'm like, all right, you good? And she's like, can we do it over? No. Take this thing, take it, get chopped up and put on there. I'm like, because I just want to be just extremely authentic, and from the day I die, I just want to just be me. So yeah, that's how people can find me out there, still going after opportunities every single day, going after Oasis Plus, which is $2 billion IDIQ. So if you want to partner, team up, let me know. It's due in September. So where we're going. And I know people probably look at it like, growing this big company, but honestly, I'm growing this. Let it go.
I love that. And what kind of subs are you seeking, whether it's for Oasis Plus or it's for something else? Who would be that perfect entrepreneur or business that you're looking to partner with?
I mean, we got so much stuff in our pipeline. So it's crazy how we went from so many different industries. So we're focused on information technology work, education, support services, healthcare, finance management, and there is a little bit of construction that's going on, some opportunities that we're picking up on the construction. So it's like, if you fall within those different areas, and in real estate too, if you fall within those different areas, we're always looking for teaming partners to be able to help us do it, because I'm not greedy. There's a lot of opportunities that, especially in the mentorship program, everybody partners on an opportunity. Everybody. I don't care what it is. There was something the other day, my staff was like, we don't really need a partner for this. I'm like, nope, go find me somebody, right? Somebody can do 20% of this work, right? And that's the thing that I want to push out to the world, is that, no, stop trying to hog it all and find you a partner, right? Go tithe out there. You can, help somebody out with 10% of a contract, whatever, and get their feet wet.
Yes, definitely. And once again, how can people reach out to you, whether it's to connect, it's to take in your social media and all of the cool strategies that you provide, or is it to potentially partner? What's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
The best way is to go to win.govconblueprint.com, and then you can get on my calendar, right? You can get on my calendar. It says like free consultation or something like that. Get it on my calendar. Let's have a discussion. Young lady called me the other day. I'm glad she did. We talked for 15 minutes, and it is me. And I was like, all right, cool. All right, yeah. Like, we got an opportunity in Illinois. How about you jump on that? With it. We need your expertise. So, yeah, get it on my calendar, and then we can discuss how we can fit you in.
Again, thank you so much. This is only the start. Like, there's so much more. I can't wait until I get to interview you again. You're like, Kizzy, we got to 65, 100 million a year. I cannot wait. I'm just so grateful again.
No problem at all. Thank you much for having us.